I guess we're ready to go, huh?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and start the meeting, Monday, April 22nd, 2024, and it is 7:02. And we'll go ahead and start with a roll call, start with Alex.
Present.
John Bouchard, Bob Gosling. And that is our board for tonight. Two guys out. Actually, Dave is gonna be here shortly. But at the moment, that is it.
I can read the public hearing notice if you like.
I would love for you to read the public hearing notice. We have a hearing for a town meeting article on ADUs.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, April 22nd, 2024 at 7:01 p.m. in the Kingston Townhouse, room 200, 26 Evergreen Street, Kingston, Massachusetts, to present and discuss an article for action at the 2024 annual town meeting, which proposes to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Kingston zoning bylaw, Section 2, definitions, Section 2.2, defined terms, in order to amend the definition of attached accessory housing unit, and in order to add a new definition for a detached accessory housing unit, and further by modifying Section 5 of the Use Regulations Table of Uses to allow one accessory housing unit to single-family dwelling in certain circumstances and by special permit in the Town Center District, 3A Design District, and Commercial Districts, subject to footnote 4, as further described, and by modifying footnote number 4 of the Table of Uses to delete A through 0, O footnotes, and instead refer to Section 7.8, accessory housing units, and by modifying Section 7, special use regulations, by adding a new Section 7.8, accessory housing units, to allow attached and detached accessory housing units by special permit and subject to certain criteria, including to reduce the minimum lot size to 20,000 square feet, to remove the waiting period from occupancy of the principal dwelling, to reduce the minimum size of the accessory housing unit, and to clarify setback requirements in all residential R20, R40, R80 zoning districts and the 3A Design District, and within the town center and commercial districts only on lots where the primary use is residential as of May 11th, 2024, the effective date of this bylaw, or take any other action relative thereto.
Thank you. All right, so we recently had a regular planning board meeting. We discussed all the ins and outs of this ADU, which is a wonderful accessory dwelling unit is what ADU stands for. It's a wonderful rule. It's sort of what we put in place many years ago to replace the in-law apartment, which became a problem for many people because they would put in an in-law apartment, and then once their in-laws or whatever family lived there, which was limited to those people, passed away, it was useless to them. So we put in the accessory dwelling unit, which means that it can be, you can build it, rent it if you want. The rule is that it has to be owner occupied. So the owner has to live either in the main house, the primary residence, or the accessory dwelling unit. And this bylaw has really kept a lot of families together. We've been really proud of it. We made it strict in the beginning because people were worried about all these houses becoming two families and this and that, which had never happened because of the owner-occupied provision. So here we are. We're ready to make some changes, make it easier for people to keep their families together. I believe that everybody that has applied for one of these has always got it. However, there's been quite a few people who have not applied because the rules did not fit their application. So we're trying to make this fit most applications. Valerie and Aaron have been working on this, and we've had many discussions on it. This is a hearing, a public hearing, to discuss a little more, go over the details if we need to, make changes if we need to. And then it will go before town meeting, it will get on the town warrant, which the selectmen are opening the warrant for this. I mean, have the warrant open until tomorrow night when they close it. So this is our last meeting to do that, and here we are. That is the update on that. And Val, go ahead if you have anything.
I just have, you have an email in your file that was sent over from Nate Hedberg, and he just is looking for, he's suggesting a max accessory unit area of 900 square feet. He is looking for us to extend the 45 days for minimum rental, but we also include in there that no short-term rentals are allowed, so I don't know if that's necessary. He's asking for us to clarify and shorten the defined terms. I'm a little hesitant to do that with town council having reviewed it and made recommendations. And he's pointing out that there might be a discrepancy in 2.2 with the definitions, so I'd like to take time to look at that and maybe fix that if there is any slightly different wording in the two. They're meant to just define what's an attached and what's a detached, because we're changing the definitions in the bylaw. And I think that's about it. I don't have anything other than that. I do want to mention to people that if they wanted to really focus in and watch an interview with the town administrator on Town Talk, I think he calls it, his weekly TV show on the local scene, we do spend about 20 minutes walking through the whole PowerPoint and explaining in detail the changes that are being proposed. And you have this handout, which is just, we're looking at attached or detached. We're looking at adding districts to make it possible, lowering the minimum lot size to 20,000 square feet, adjusting setbacks to make it more suitable for older homes to fit into the bylaw. We're looking at lowering the minimum size of the ADU to 350 square feet to be consistent with all the other towns on the South Shore. We're allowing for parking to use the existing drive rather than previously it's required to be behind the primary structure, and we're removing the waiting period.
And frontage, did you say anything about frontage?
Well, because we're going to a 20,000 square foot lot size, we're removing the frontage
Okay.
altogether, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of the 20,000. So that's a good point.
That's what I want. Okay, board members. Bob, let me see that, Bob. Bob has a little problem with his voice tonight. He will not be singing to us until next meeting. How do we feel about a max of 1,000 or 1,200 feet? If someone has a small house on a big lot, can they add a big addition and call the original house the ADU? Yes, it doesn't matter which house is the ADU. We know, we have agreed to that last meeting.
I don't know if that's, I don't know if.
He also added, you probably wish I stayed home.
Never.
Never is right. Oh, I think my mic is off. Now my mic's on. I'm so loud, it doesn't matter.
I'm not sure that we're in agreement that the primary residence can be the accessory after the fact, but I guess it depends on that 30% ratio, once you add them
I
together
mean,
and
what's
then
the
break it
difference
apart.
if the ratio is the ratio?
If the ratio fits, then it should work.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, whatever one's bigger is gonna be the primary.
as long as when they add it together,
Yeah, it still fits the
it still fits.
equation,
Yeah. And then, at the last meeting, LDS Consulting had come to us with a review of the maximum sizes across the South Shore, and had come up with maybe a recommendation of 950 to 1,200 square feet being in the range of what other communities have if they do put a cap on it. But at that discussion, the board's disposition was to not set a cap on the size.
Last meeting,
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
Yeah, how does anybody feel about a cap? We know how Bob feels. Cap of 1,200 square feet.
I personally don't mind a cap, because if at one point it could be, like you said, as long as the ratio is okay, what could be considered an ADU. If somebody has property and land enough to do that, in theory, they should be able to build a larger house.
Well, this one would cap it, so
Yeah.
it could be smaller than what we currently allow on our.
right.
So currently, we have a cap.
We have no limit.
We have no limit?
We have a
It's gonna
30%.
meet the ratio.
Yeah, yeah.
30% ratio is a limit, but
Right.
it's not a defined square footage limit.
Right, because as we had discussed, if you had a house in like Indian Pond Country Club or someplace that was, you know, you had a 6,000
Yeah.
square foot house and you want to build a 2,000 square foot ADU or whatever the 30% would be, then if you had the
It
land
would be
to
a
do so.
relatively large, but that's only if you have a relatively large house to start with.
Right.
So that, we had
Anybody have a
shown,
problem with a cap or not a cap?
I think the ratio should speak for itself, right? 30%?
Yeah, so you don't mind, like in a large house, you don't mind there being a large addition? As long as they have I mean, they still have to have the setbacks and everything else.
yeah.
Yeah, they have to follow all the other bylaws.
So no cap?
Why was, I don't know who Nate is, but why was he suggesting a 900 square foot cap?
Because he felt like suggesting it.
Oh, he just built, okay, I don't know who Nate is.
He's a local resident.
Local resident, okay. I wasn't sure if he was a consultant or something.
No.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about the email?
Yeah, the email, that's what I was talking about.
Val, how often is there a cap in other towns' bylaws? Is it,
It's about 50/50.
Mhm.
Most of them just use a ratio, but some of them have even smaller, like 800 square feet. Some of them are a little bit bigger. So we're kind of falling in that median range. So the half that do have them, if we were to pick something between 900 and 1,200 square feet, we'd be kind of in the same range as other communities that do have them.
All right, but you think this bylaw covers the idea of, doesn't matter which one is the primary resident?
As long as the math works, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't,
I would think it works.
okay.
I don't see why it shouldn't.
He's talking a small set of cases where that would apply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there could be, but there
As
could
long
be
as
a
one is
fairly good-sized
accessory.
lot with a tiny house on it.
I'm saying there's probably few of those, right? So it's
Not many, no,
Yeah, not
I
many,
agree,
exactly,
I agree.
It's not gonna be like the rule.
We're just
It's
trying
exception.
to, no, I agree.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make it more friendly to more people.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole idea of these changes are. How do you feel about the cap or no cap, David?
I'm trying to envision like how that could get out of hand. I can't really picture it, but,
It has
You
to be
still
a
have
huge house.
30%
Yeah.
ratio.
yeah.
I think with the comment, one was trying to point out from Nathan's email, was that if you have a smaller house, then you'd be limited to building a smaller ADU off of it, and maybe you would have a larger lot and would be able to build a larger ADU off it if they could build something greater than 30% of what the
Well,
principal
that's one of
structure
the
would be.
reasons I really kind of objected to that idea in the beginning. If you have a really small house,
Yeah.
you're limited to like a one room in some
Yeah.
cases. And I don't like that idea. So I don't,
I mean, I've
I
seen,
mean, but if on the other hand, you can make the small house your primary and then swap it the other way,
Yeah,
Maybe that covers it too, I don't know.
I mean, 500 square feet is like 25 by 25, or thereabouts, right? It's pretty small, but one person could live in that space, it is possible, but it is kind of limiting.
That's what we allow now as a
Yeah.
minimum size. But we're proposing to reduce that to 350 like most other towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So what's the consensus? Leave it the way it is, or limit it to 1,200 square feet?
What, is a cap?
Hmm.
I'm fine with removing the cap, not having a cap.
All right, there is none now.
Yeah.
That's just a suggestion that Bob thought about. He'll be really angry if we don't do it. I love it. I can talk to him and he can't talk back. His wife must love it too.
There's no cap.
All right. So Alex, you're comfortable with no cap?
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with no cap.
Yeah, we can always change it.
It's gonna be limited by the 30%,
It is limited by the 30%.
so.
Okay. Any other things that bother anybody here, or that you want to discuss, even from the email from Nathan?
And I think Jean Landis-Nauman is here, and she may have something to say too. I don't know if anyone else from the
I'm
public.
going to ask Jean, yeah.
All right,
I'm just waiting for the board to do their thing first. And then
Sounds
we'll go to
good.
Jean.
I mean, I think it's kind of self-limiting. You have to have a lot of money to put on a huge addition. You have to have the land to get by the setbacks. There's so many
Setbacks,
things
yeah.
that kind of makes it limiting. Plus, most people wouldn't want to build something that's so huge that an entire another family could live in it. They're really looking for something that's, you know,
Yeah.
good for a couple people.
One of the best things that this does is it takes houses that are like, say, in R40, and their lot doesn't meet the R40 design now, because it was built before our zoning came in,
Yeah.
and this allows them to have some, which we had one of those, and the people didn't even apply, because they didn't fit the bill.
Yes.
And I think this corrects some of those things. So I'm really happy with the work that Val did. And I like it. Jean, would you
Yes.
like to speak to this?
Yes, I would, Mr. Chairman. This is a statement on behalf of the Affordable Housing Trust here in Kingston. The Kingston Affordable Housing Trust has reviewed the proposed update to the zoning bylaws regarding accessory dwelling units and have offered just a few minor amendments, which Val already has. At its meeting on April 11th, 2024, the trust voted unanimously to support the update in concept for the following reasons. We know there's a shortage of affordable housing in Kingston. There's limited space available to build additional affordable housing. Several inquiries have been received, which you alluded to, by the planning department to add ADUs, indicating there is an interest by homeowners for this change. This change provides an opportunity for homeowners to add a dwelling unit to their property that can generate income to the owner, as well as increase the real estate taxes paid to the town, which improves the value of the property. As written, the proposed changes limit the impact the ADUs would have on the neighbors as well as on the neighborhood. It increases access to jobs and services. It promotes compact development, which we have been talking about over the past few years. It supports multi-generational living, which is prevalent in many societies. And the small square footage will have minimum impact on town services, such as water, sewer, education, and emergency services. The long-term rental agreements will ensure stability, as they will not be used as Airbnbs or for transient populations. While the income from the ADU rentals will not be restricted and thus not counted as an actual affordable housing unit by the state, the availability of housing at multiple price points will allow for housing of individuals that add to the richness of the community.
Val, anybody?
Uh,
I
We-
just have one question about, it says the changes to propose with setbacks flexible. Does that mean it'll give us leeway?
No.
in Special permits? Okay, what does it mean?
If you read through the language, it just makes it so that if you have an older house,
Yeah,
it's more consistent with allowing you to use the older setbacks that were in place at the time the house was constructed. The way it's written now, you have to meet the current setbacks for any additions and all of that, and it doesn't match when you have an older house that's already 10 or 15 feet off the lot line. So that's the only change, is it does not allow for flexibility in terms of your decision-making, but it does set up the ADU bylaw to be more consistent with the existing structures in the town.
okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Or you were gonna say in response to Gene?
I was just going to thank Jean and thank the Housing Trust for taking time to review the bylaw and to give us their suggestions. They caught some typos and some other questions, and they've been supportive since the day I started, that we update this bylaw, so just offering that support back.
Thank you, Gene.
You're welcome, and thank you for the public hearing. Appreciate it.
No problem. All right, are we ready to have a motion to support this as is written?
Yeah, to close the public hearing.
Yeah, I gotta close the public hearing, so I need a motion to close the
I'll
public.
make a motion to close the public hearing on ADU bylaw.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 It's 4-0. And then a motion on the town meeting article.
I'll make a motion to support the changes to the ADU bylaw as spelled out here, here in this meeting.
I second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Raise their thumbs.
Aye.
4-0-0. Okay. Now that we have 4 of us here, well, let me see what else we have on there. Let me go in order, because that's why we have this meetings minutes. Oh, that's the old one.
I looked through, it looked like we might be able to approve one set of minutes.
I think there's more now.
There's 3.
I think there's 3. I think that,
Okay, so, hold on. Yeah, so.
I think
this
that
one,
Erin is actually correct.
this one here.
Can you believe it?
Jonathan Barnett, this one here, I don't think we can do.
Gosh.
Jonathan's not here.
That one there we can't do. Let's see.
What's
So-
what one there?
January 8th, we probably can't do.
I see April 8th, and
April
we have Tom, Bob, and Dave.
Yep.
So that one we can do. And then we have January 8th, can't do. That's the one you said, right?
Yep.
And
Then
March
we have
25th.
March 25th,
Yep.
Tom, Bob, and Alex. We can do that one. So there's 2, I guess.
So I'll go ahead and, because everything's all set, and if people need to redo them or something, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 8th, 2024.
Do we have a second? We have a second by Bob. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Abstain.
4-0-1.
301.
Excellent. Okay, and now we have March 25th.
I'll make a
We have
motion.
Tom, Bob, and Alex.
I'll make a motion to accept the meetings of March 25th, 2004.
We have a second from Bob. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Or thumb.
Abstain.
And, yep, I was getting to that, but, yep, no, that's good. 301.
Okay.
321.
Three.
Oh, sorry. Wrong rocket ship.
Did I get it wrong?
No,
No,
we're all
301.
I
set.
think I got the last one wrong, though.
That's
It's
okay.
all right, I got you.
301.
401 the last time, so. All right, now, minutes, agenda. All right, discussion, letter of support for MVP grant application.
Yeah, so I don't have anything drafted because the deadline is Friday, and the scope is a little bit unclear. I believe the applicant may be the Jones River Watershed Association, but without having enough information about it, I was unprepared to present a letter for you, because the scope is so unclear. But it's, if,
What it's
oh, right, so the idea is to do a land acquisition grant for, application for the Korea Bogs.
Roger Korea's bogs are for sale. There's certain people in the town that would like to buy them.
Yep. So
There's
they-
a lot of unanswered questions. I talked to a couple different people about it. I know that there's been an application to the CPC for monies. They have approved $50,000. To my understanding, there has not been a, I made some calls about this today. I'm just putting this out, what I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to, because I have a big mouth. But I want to make sure before anything goes forward with this, that there's been a 21E done on the property. The town doesn't need any more contaminated properties, we have enough. We gotta make sure. Before we go through with any of this, I've made a call to one of the selectmen, I've made a call to Keith, and I played phone tag with Keith. And there's a lot of unanswered questions. Who's gonna own it? What the goal is here? So those are some of the things, just a couple of the things that might complicate this matter.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
are they planning on running the box, or are they planning on letting them go fallow? I mean,
I don't believe anybody involved wants to run that because they draw directly from the Jones River.
Yeah,
Well, there's discussion of whether or not they'd be farmed. So because it's so unclear, and because I can't answer your questions, I don't have a letter for you. I had put it on the agenda in hopes that those answers would have come to the fore, but, you know, Matt's on vacation, and I don't have clear answers, so I don't have a letter for you.
like I remember when we had, across the creek, the property behind the high school, someone tried to run those bogs, and like, didn't vandals come in and just tear all the pumps and pipes and everything?
No, I was involved in buying that land,
Yeah.
and the idea was to lease those bogs
Yeah.
to a bog company. Hey, I see him. I'm putting him, he's loud.
That's not nice.
Whoever's loudest gets the first chance at this.
Well, that's always you.
We were planning on leasing those bogs to a local bog owners, whatever ones, and the bog business, the cranberry business went
Yeah.
right when we bought it. And that's why that never happened, they went fallow. Our plan was to lease those and get recover some money.
Yeah,
But I'm sure glad we bought that. That's a beautiful piece of land. It was 350 acres before the school got a bunch of it. And it is a very sensitive piece of property, it's beautiful, people love it. They walk, they run, the school runs there, it's just a wonderful piece. But you're right, that was the plan.
I did think that someone went in there and pulled pumps out and stuff, I don't know.
They might have, but that wasn't anything to do with the town, there was no agreement.
Yeah,
They
I
probably
know.
just,
Yeah, I don't know.
just probably just took them for themselves, I don't know.
I think a Bob would have told me that, but I don't know. Okay.
Anyway, that was the deal with that. Now, Bob is getting really aggravated. He's asking, is it for the whole property, and is it for the asking price? Those are some of the other questions that we don't know yet. We know it's the whole thing, but we don't know about the asking price. We don't know a lot, and that's why I'm really surprised that it got through through CPC. I'm surprised it's even gotten anywhere without a 21E. I mean, if anybody's gonna buy a property, first thing you want is 21E, especially if bogs that use chemicals, they use all this stuff, just like any commercial property, like the property that you developed down in Kingston there, just in the center.
Those are the most beautiful bogs.
They are beautiful. It's I hate to see him selling them, but I understand it. He's in his 70s. He's a wonderful guy.
Yep.
Everybody loves him. He's been a great neighbor to everybody. And he said the time has come. And I don't blame him. I get it. But at the same time, the town has to really be careful with this one. And I know that there's people that want us to apply for grants and all these different things. We don't even know we're supposed to own it yet. So I talked to Val about it. I've talked to other people about it. Trying to get everybody on the same page. Let's do, if we're gonna do anything with this, let's do it right and let's do our homework. Because like I said, we already own a couple properties that are contaminated. We don't need any more. And I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying it isn't. All I'm saying is, we should know before we give anybody any money at town meeting. And we needed to know who we're giving it to. All these things I don't know yet, I don't understand yet. And so I'm getting involved with it, making calls, trying to learn as much as I can. Because I get calls from people that are like, what about this? What's going on with that? I need to know. Asking price, CPC, 50,000 is what they awarded.
I don't know
Yeah,
what that
I believe
is
that that is for exploratory work related to a preliminary 21E at some later date, but it's not clear who would get that funding to do that work.
Well, first of all, the 21E should be done by the property owner, correct, Bob? Typically?
I think it can vary, but typically, like, the town itself would have to do a 21E before it took title, because if it didn't, it would immediately accept liability for contamination. So typically what this town needs to do is know what is there and what the cost of the cleanup might be, and then if it acquires title, it has that information so that it can get funding. But without taking that step, if it takes title before it knows what's there, then it's liable for what might be there, if anything. And that is just generally speaking, not specific to any particular property. That's just how the process works.
If I remember the meeting correctly, and I don't have the notes from the meeting in front of me, but we did vote, just as Val described it, not necessarily to bypass any of these regulations or recommended town provisions. And what the CPC had recommended, I remember, is moving it to town meeting. So
Right.
hopefully further discussion and evaluation would take place, which I believe is happening now.
And it will.
And that's good. I mean, if there's something, like, if there's something that we discovered, throughout the process, then obviously that's
Bob says that that property, he believes, would not require one, so we would have to pay for it.
The 21E?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody, and I think that's the idea behind the CPC money, is to hash out what it would cost to do that.
So are you on the CPC?
Yeah.
So what was your understanding of who's gonna own it? Who's gonna be in charge of that property?
I don't have the notes in front of me, and this wasn't on the agenda for tonight, right?
Well, it's the MVP,
Discussion.
Yeah, MVP
MVP
grant
letter
application.
is on the agenda.
Which, you know, no one knows what that means, but we do now.
Sorry, yeah.
But anyway, that's fine. I was just curious if you remember. But, that's interesting. I didn't know that, Bob. Thank you. Okay, so we have some things to be brought up.
Oh, yeah, so Bob's holding up, this is a letter that we sent, don't know. But we just sent a letter out, when I first got here, one of the random things that came up was elevated routes needed a sign. And we had some discussions about the possibility of, now that that area where Amazon is and where FW Web Plumbing Supply is and Elevated Roots and Lowe's, it's become like a little industrial park. But it evolved into that over time. And now we have the Lowe's sign, which is a pylon sign, which hasn't been paying its lease money to the town for years, and it should be. And the sign itself is, you know, it's not in the best shape. And then the Elevated Roots, because of this concept, got a temporary sign. So, and the idea here is that we own that land where the signs are, that we have sent a letter to those 4 businesses to say, would you guys be interested in a sign where you would share the cost to design it, put it in, and we would work with you to give you that land to put the sign up, to give us less kind of crazy signs and kind of give ourselves a more of a destination feel when you come off the exit ramps there, because you've got Marty's, you've got Independence Mall, you've got the Lowe's, you've got the Elevated Routes, you've got the fire station. So trying to get things a little more gathered, and maybe we'll look at the other side of the line as well and look and see if there's something we can do on the other side to give us more of a gateway feel, and you're entering Kingston when you come off the highway and you can see where to go. Right now it's a little bit crazy. So this is we just sent a letter out to those businesses in hopes that they might be interested in doing that, and then give ourselves a little bit more of a less confusing intersection.
Cool. I think it's a great idea.
Did anybody notice that it's not Kingston's problem, it's in Plymouth, but that huge
Trash.
illegal dumping going on down there?
Why they don't put cameras up there and catch those people?
I don't know.
Right, if you go down William Gould Way, the dead ends,
Yeah.
that whole dead end is filled with furniture and trash.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so bad.
Getting worse.
And it gets worse every day you go by. And all they need to do is put up some cameras and put some people in jail.
Yeah.
Fine them, whatever they gotta
I mean,
do.
it's lit up like a Christmas tree down there, and it's still dumping, you know?
It's hard to do the gate thing because you can drive right around it. It's all open
Yeah.
there and all that.
It's a shame, because having worked in Plymouth, I know they've had other situations where there's a place identified, and then boom, people start to use it, and it's a little bit difficult to get the funding, get the cameras set up, but you're right, that's
Matt's
exactly
got
what
them
we
in
need
our
to do.
town.
Well,
Yeah.
Amazon
Matt,
could set them up
Panetta.
on their building and probably catch them, you know?
It's disgusting.
Help us out.
It's really disgusting. I think that is one of the
Yeah.
lowest things that someone can do, is dump their construction debris that they get paid to take away,
Yeah.
or whatever else, you know? It's
Yeah.
disgusting. I wish that Plymouth would do something. It's not Kingston, so
Yeah.
what are we gonna do about it?
Well, we can make
But
them
it's
aware
ugly
of
to
it.
drive by, I'll tell you that.
I'll let them know about it. I'm not sure they know about it, because it's a pretty remote spot for them.
I think they know a lot about it, because
Oh, okay.
they've taken a lot of stuff out of there over the last few years.
Oh, all right.
But why they don't do anything about it, I don't know.
They're waiting for a whole bunch to collect, they'll just come in once.
Yeah. Wait till there's like 4 30-yard dumpsters worth.
Someone told me
It's-
today they were
It's piling
working
up now.
on Park Street, you know, like behind Cretinon's.
Yep.
And you know how there's that little culvert? That there was actual medical waste.
Oh, gross.
Well, this
Like,
should be a big
right-
parking lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, they called and somebody, I don't know, I think it was still on the Kingston side, not Duxbury,
Duxbury,
but
yeah.
came and cleaned it up. But it was like, it was medical waste and needles and everything
Nasty.
else. But it was like as if a, you know,
So
company
somebody
did it.
probably got paid to take the stuff away and dump it there.
Yeah, just to make a buck.
That's a
Yeah,
shame.
right in the little
probably
bowling
got all
brook.
our DNA on it.
Oh.
Ew. In any event.
All right, well, anything else? We're good?
I think this is a good idea.
Thanks for the effort of getting here, everybody. I appreciate it.
I'm
We
sorry
needed to
it's
have
so
this
long.
meeting.
We really
and,
appreciate it. I'm
thank-
going to send
Thank you,
out,
Val, for your hard work.
Yep.
Thank you, Erin, for just being such a wonderful
You
person.
know,
No, thank the both
You're
of you, really.
welcome.
Thank
for
you,
everything.
Bob, for making the effort to get
Thanks,
here.
Bob.
I'm sorry that I bothered you, to be honest with you, but it's okay.
yeah.
You can bother me. All right, all right, motion to adjourn has
Motion to
been
adjourn? Yep.
brought up, and we have a second by Alex. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
In, I'm in, all of us,
Okay.
4.
All right.
thanks. So we'll see you at town meeting. That's